What is up, everyone? Um, Today I just kind of wanted to make this video because it's something that I've been talking to a lot of people about recently, and I've honestly been thinking a lot about recently because I really just got back into Star Wars. I kind of took a break, and then The Mandalorian Season 3 came out, and so I caught up on that. And then I started watching the Clone Wars again. And so I was just kind of like evaluating where like the Star Wars franchise is, but also like really what's going on with the shows like The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and all the upcoming stuff. Because I really just think that Disney or whoever is running this shit is just really fucking up. I mean, looking back at the Book of Boba Fett, I'm just gonna dive straight into the Book of Boba Fett because I thought that that show was absolutely fucking horrible. Honestly, I think it completely ruined Boba Fett as a character, and I just think that it was a bad show. I think that the scenes that were supposed to be like badass or oh my god, like when they reintroduced Cad Bane, they just all felt like so cheap, and that's kind of like a recurring theme with these new Star Wars shows. It also happens in Kenobi, like when Kenobi slices off Darth Vader's mask, and it's literally like a one-for-one copy of Darth Vader and Ahsoka's battle in Rebels. That scene is just like so like it's supposed to be like a cool like deep scene, and I'm just like I don't feel anything because it just feels like so artificial. And there were so many scenes like that in the Book of Boba Fett. Like when Cad Bane returned, I was kind of like, why does he look like that? That was number one. But also two, like when when Boba Fett killed Cad Bane, I was just like, really? Is that really how that ended? There was like 10 other ways that they could have made the like final battle between Boba Fett and Cad Bane like way cooler, and they just fucked it up. And that's I just think that they just like fucked up that entire show. I just the route they went with that show is just completely different than what I would have thought they would have gone with. Like when Book of Boba Fett got announced, I was so hyped. I was like, "Oh my god, they're like doing the Legends thing where Boba Fett escapes the Sarlacc pit." And I knew a little bit about like Legends and stuff about like after he gets out of the Sarlacc pit. I think in Legends he goes on like a big like, oh, I'm gonna go get revenge on everyone, and they try to do that in the show, but it just was like stupid. It just like wasn't Boba Fett, because Boba Fett in the original series and kind of like what he was in Legends was literally like a murdering outlaw bounty hunter. Not outlaw, but bounty hunter. Like just complete murderer, like bloodthirsty, will do anything to anyone for any price, like just a badass bounty hunter. Like he was fucking badass, but he was ruthless. And in the Book of Boba Fett, he just is kind of like, I don't even know. Like I'm just like, that's not Boba Fett. Like I don't know. They kind of did the same thing with him in Mandalorian and the Mandalorian or Din Djarin, where it's just like they take a character like the original Boba Fett and like season one Din Djarin, because I think that season one Din Djarin and season three Din Djarin are like completely different characters. You take like season one Din Djarin and the original Boba Fett. They're like these badass bounty hunters that are just fucking killing everyone, doing whatever the fuck, collecting bounties. And then they just like water them down into being like these nice guys, like, oh my god, let's get along with everyone, like, oh my god, let's make friends and shit. And it's just like, I'm like, dude, what is like, can there not be like badass characters in the show? Can there not be like bad dudes? Like, they didn't have to make Boba Fett like a good dude. And I don't know if he's technically a good dude in or by the end of Book of Boba Fett, but it kind of seemed like he was. It's like, oh, Boba Fett's a good guy now. Oh my God, he's like helping the city, and he's like the mayor. I don't even remember what the shit like what was going on. But I'm like, dude, just like not every character has to be like a good guy. Not every character has to have like a redemption arc. The route that I would have gone is like literally like I would have named it The Murderous Misadventures of Boba Fett, or like Boba Fett's Revenge. And it's him getting out of the Starlight Pit and going like, "Oh my God, I'm going to kill everyone who was like fucking responsible for me being in there for all those years." And that show would have been 10 times cooler. It would have just been him like running around freaking collecting bounties, killing people. It would have been badass. And like maybe they could have done this thing where he's like hunting down Luke or something. And then him and Luke have like a battle or a final battle. That would have been way cooler. That would have been a way cooler ending to Boba Fett. I would have rather Boba Fett like try to get revenge on Luke, and then him and Luke had like some badass battle, than him like just being like, "Oh yeah, I'm like the mayor of the city now." I'm like, okay. I just really think that they just messed up on that entire concept, and I don't know. And like I said, I watched the new episodes of The Mandalorian, and I have to say I have no idea what they're doing with that show. Honestly, I just don't even know what direction they're going with. Like, I don't really I'm saying that I don't know what's going on, but like I just like it really seems like I like nothing is happening, you know? It's like they're definitely building up to something with the Moff, I forget what his name, Moff Gideon. He escaped. I guess spoiler alert. He escaped, or like he got broken out of the transport to his trial, and they're like setting that up, and they're setting up like the, oh my God, Bo-Katan saw the mythosaur, so like she's like the one who's gonna unite all the Mandalorian tribes. I think that is pretty cool, but I just don't know what their like end goal for the Mandalorian show is. It's like I honestly really think that the Mandalorian show could have just ended with Grogu staying with Luke, and then like Din Djarin going off and doing his own thing with like Bo-Katan or whatever. But now that Grogu is still with the Mandalorian or Din Djarin, I'm just like, what is the end goal of that? Like what's gonna happen with those two? Is there gonna be like a big time skip at the end of the show, and we're gonna see like a Mandalorian Jedi Grogu? I doubt it, but I'm just like, and honestly, that would be stupid. But I actually would not be surprised if that's the case. I'm just like, I don't know what they're doing with that show at this point. I'm just in for the ride. I don't really have much problem with Mandalorian. I think Mandalorian has been way better than like Book of Boba Fett. So I really can't complain too much about that show at all. I think The Mandalorian is fine. I have not watched Kenobi, and I meant to like talk about Kenobi more at the beginning, but it's just like I think Kenobi is like a prime example of just like them not knowing what the fuck they want to do. They're like, "Oh, like we want to make a show about Kenobi," and that's like it. There's no like deeper thought that went into it. Like when I saw the announcement for Kenobi, I was thinking about like all of these cool things that could happen in that show. I was like, "Oh my God, what if he like, cuz in Legends he runs into like Darth Krayt while he's on Tatooine." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what if that happens in the show?" This was before they kind of like said what like the dates in reference to the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy, like what date time it would be set in. So I was like, I didn't have any idea. So I was like, "Oh my God, what if he runs into Darth Krayt, or there was so much stuff that I feel like they could have done with Obi-Wan being on Tatooine, and it just turned out like why was this show even made? It's like the show did nothing. The show was horrible. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I haven't even watched it, and I'm not gonna watch it because I feel like it's just gonna ruin Star Wars more for me. The only scenes I've seen, like Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader, I thought it was stupid. I want to talk about that. Darth Vader at this point is like prime Darth Vader. Like, still young, still powerful in the Force. Like, this is prime, like, Jedi Hunter Darth Vader. And you're telling me that Obi-Wan is, like, putting an ass whooping on him? Like, he would literally be, like, absolutely stomping Obi-Wan. I don't get it. And also, like, I just really don't know. I really don't like what they did with Obi-Wan's character. And I'm gonna reference it to like another depiction of Obi-Wan. And I know it's not like a good comparison because this Obi-Wan is much older, but I really liked Obi-Wan at like when he kills Darth Maul in Rebels. Like, I feel like that's such a good depiction of Obi-Wan, like a calm, collective person, and it's like the same depiction we get in the Clone Wars. You know, I feel like Clone Wars Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan we see in Rebels, and Old Ben in A New Hope are virtually like they feel like the same character. And so did Ewan's Obi-Wan in like Episode 3. He was a very like calm, collective Obi-Wan. But then in Kenobi, the scenes that I've seen, I'm just like, dude, who is this character? This is not Obi-Wan. Like, why is he like I think there's a scene where he sees Darth Vader and he literally just turns around and runs away. And I'm like, I saw that scene and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? What is going on? I mean, every scene that I've seen was just like absolutely awful. Especially, like I said, when he cuts like Darth Vader's mask and there's supposed to be like the big moment of like, oh my god, I'm sorry, Anakin, and Anakin Skywalker's dead. I killed him, whatever the fuck. That scene just has no weight because it just feels so artificial. You know, it's a garbage show. They just put that scene in there because like without that scene, it's 100% garbage. They thought, oh, this show sucks ass, but we'll have this one good scene. But it's literally like a copy. It's almost a one-for-one copy of the like moment between Darth Vader and Ahsoka at the Sith Temple in Rebels. And I thought that scene was done way better. So like literally it's just a garbage version of that. So I'm just like, I don't even know. There's just nothing to say. I don't know why they made that show. Well, I thought like making a Kenobi show was a good idea, but I honestly, I don't know. I knew it was going to be garbage. Like, I was hyped at first, but then I remembered that it's Disney, and I was like, man, this show is probably going to be awful. It's just... And also, that was after Book of Boba Fett had come out, and I'd watched all of that, and I was like, yeah, like, I highly doubt Kenobi's going to be good. If they fucked up Boba Fett that bad, then Kenobi is definitely not going to be, like, an amazing show. I have heard that Andor was good, and I'm just like... And I've seen some scenes from Andor, and they look beautiful, and they look amazing, and the acting looks so good, and so do the sets. And I'm like, where was this budget in, like, thought process and directing and writing? Where was it for these other shows? You know, I look at, like, these scenes from Andor, and then I compare them to these scenes from Boba Fett, and I'm like, what was the budget difference here? You know? It's just like one looks like a movie and one looks like me and my brother made it. It's just I don't even know what's going on. I mean, I'm trying to think of any shows that know like what they're gonna do from now on. I'm excited for the new episode of The Mandalorian that's coming out on Wednesday because honestly, The Mandalorian is like the only good show that I've personally watched. I do need to watch Andor. I have been kicking myself. I definitely need to watch Andor. I'm definitely not going to watch Kenobi because I just know that that show is garbage. But I just wanted to put this video out here because it's something that I've been thinking about recently, and I don't know. I don't know. About like the upcoming shows, like I don't know why they're not making shows that like people like really want to watch. It's like I feel like the Ahsoka show would be way cooler if she didn't have like a million cameos in all the other shows. Then I'd be like kind of excited, you know what I mean? But like we see so much of Ahsoka in the Mandalorian and in the Book of Boba Fett that I'm just like, I'm not really that excited. And although Marvel shows and movies are absolutely horrible, I think that they should go with the like kind of like Marvel show thing of like make shows that are like kind of not wacky, but just like I don't even know where I'm going with this. I was thinking of a show like when I said like the Murderous Misadventures or the Revenge of Boba Fett. Like a show like that where it's just like just follow that character. Don't have like any interconnection with anything else. Have like Luke maybe at the end. Maybe you can have a little bit of interconnection, but it's just like make a fun show to watch is what I mean. That's basically my main premise. Make a show that's fun that people want to watch. Like people want to see Boba Fett beat the shit out of people. You know? Just make some shows that like really like get people excited. I'm looking at this lineup and I'm just like, eh. Because they're about characters and like groups of people that like really we have no invested interest in. It's like Rogue Squadron and like I mean, yeah, I guess those guys were in the Mandalorian, but like I don't really care, Like I don't know. Completely disregard what I said about the Marvel shows. Do not follow Marvel at all. I was trying to think of an example for what I was trying to say, but that was just completely failed. But just make fun shows. Make like I don't even know. I don't even know at this point. There's so many characters that they could expand upon. I was thinking about like there's the captain, the pirate captain in the Clone Wars. They could do a show about him and people would watch the shit out of that cuz he's like a beloved character from the Clone Wars. They could have done a show about Cad Bane. They could have done an entire show about Cad Bane. Make his costume better and people will watch the shit out of that. You know? Phone keeps going off, but I mean just make fun shows. I'm trying to think of like other characters that they could do, but I don't know. Also, a lot of my ideas are kind of hindered by the fact that we have to live with the sequels being a thing. Like there's so many cool Legends characters that are no more because of the piece of shit sequels existing. And, you just gotta live with it. I mean, if they did like a Darth Crate show, oh my god, dude, I would watch the shit out of it, but they never will, so it doesn't matter. It does not matter. I don't even know if they're even gonna ever make more Star Wars films. I think that Favreau wants to, but I don't know. He said he was talking about making movies like after the sequel trilogy, which I think is fine. I always before the sequel trilogy even came out, I always thought it'd be cool to make the movies like from Legends where it's like you have like the clones of Palpatine and all of that shit and then like I forget what their names are, but like the aliens that invade from like outside of the known space and are like a huge threat. And there's like so much shit that goes down in that like time period from like after the Return of the Jedi that's just like so cool, but it just ends up not really being all that interesting because I don't know. They just haven't capitalized on any of those really good ideas. But I just thought I'd make this video. I know it's like super rambly, but honestly, I like making these. Hopefully, they're a little more coherent in the future. But yeah, I'm gonna keep making these if something pops up in my head that I want to talk about. Also, if y'all would be interested in me streaming on here, just like video games, whatever, I guess comment or leave a like. I do plan on streaming anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Also, actually, never mind. I'll talk about that later. But thank you for listening to my rant. I will talk to y'all later.